Hey everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. It is Thursday, and just like the title says, we're going to be talking about Andrew, Sarah, and the fall of the House of Windsor. Indeed, if not for Prince William, that's what we'd be facing. Andrew and Sarah have become as big a threat to the monarchy as anything else ever has been. And that's a fact. Not just everything that's coming out and it's bad press and the Daily Mail or the Mail on Sunday and the leaked emails. From the time Andrew was a child, the palace has been covering up for him. The palace has been active in supplying misinformation to cover for him. I mean, this is true. This is true. Look at the work I've done. Nobody talks about this. This is something, I guess, unless you're pretty much a local, you may never have heard the story of Prince Andrew's time at Lakefield College School in Peterborough, Ontario as a teen. Randy Andy, that's where he got his nickname. This guy has been an sex pest since he was a teenager. If you haven't looked at my video, Who is Marcus Anderson, in my Who's Your Daddy playlist, I recently redid it because the quality wasn't, the sound quality and stuff. So go check that out. It'll give you a bit of background, what we're talking about. And I mean, it's been just a real hit for Andrew and Sarah recently. We've had Andrew Lowney's book entitled About the Yorks come out, and the revelations in that as they stand are just astounding. And there's even more because of legal reasons and such that they weren't allowed to include in the book. At least some 20 pages or so, but now have passed legals, and now since some of this information is now in the public domain, it can be included in the paperback. So there's going to be a lot more information, damning information, coming out about Andrew and Sarah in his paperback edition. I'm not sure when that's coming out, but I would imagine pretty soon. But yeah, look at where we know, if we didn't know before, we know now that both Andrew and Sarah lied about their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Specifically with Jeffrey, both of them claimed that when they first met him, whatever, was years after they actually did. And the fact that they said they cut off contact with him, and then find out years later there's emails, there's, well, Andrew, yeah, they've lied about everything about their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. We know money changed hands. anywhere from £75,000 to over £2 million, according to Andrew Lowney, was given to Sarah from Epstein. We don't know exactly what purpose. We know that I'm not sure if it was Beatrice or Eugenie's 18th birthday, there was like a $50,000 birthday gift given. Money was being passed around, so something was going on, and certainly we don't know everything. We know a lot. We've certainly heard a lot about Andrew's history and the island, and Virginia Dufresne, whose autobiography, I believe, is out now. Very bad for Andrew. She accounts when they first met, how it all went, different places that she had encounters with him, the island, the Florida house, and Andrew Lowney did some work, and apparently when you put that against what the court circulars are saying, and it looks quite evident that what actually happened isn't what we've been told, and that there's pretty good evidence that the palace was manipulating information, holding back information, changing information to cover for Andrew, right? We've heard a lot and need to learn more about Andrew's time as a trade envoy, where he was going around the world supposedly making deals for Great Britain. Turns out there was a lot of grift involved, and Andrew was really making a lot of personal contacts and lining his pockets, and you know, a lot of pay-to-play schemes. And we had Sarah getting caught by the fake sheik with money on the table. She's smoking cigarettes and drinking wine and saying, okay, the next $50,000, and then we'll set up the meeting and you'll have access to Andrew. And she was selling access to Andrew. And she got caught in a sting. And I've said this before, in my opinion, Andrew would have had to known about this. I think they were in this one together. This was a real little Bonnie and Clyde scheme. And when you look at some of the real estate stuff, even to this day, when you look at that, I mean, there's scandal. Pick a topic. There's a scandal relating to the Yorks. The real estate deals are something else. But, you know, so we could spend hours talking about every little scandal, but let's draw back into where we are today with the stuff coming out, the stuff we already know. And I mean, Andrew and his supporters have claimed he never met Virginia. Well, £13 million is an awful lot to give somebody that you never met. But, you know, he's a rich guy, and he's said himself his biggest downfall is he's just so darned honorable, you know. He said that to Emily Maitlis in that interview he did with the BBC. Unreal. He's so full of himself. He is, as Andrew Lowney's book is entitled. Him and Sarah both. I mean, look what brought her down. The scandals, her lovers, the toe sucking. The whole thing was just tawdry and awful. So she was chased away pretty quickly. And I mean, her and Andrew, I think, were only separated for a couple of years before she moved back in with him. And during this time, she had racked up just tons of debt, some of which we know the Queen paid. The Queen paid a couple $1 million off. We now know up to $2 million from Jeffrey. And I mean, Sarah always had something on the side. She always had a gig. She always had a scheme going on to make money. And I mean, half in, half out, that's been Sarah all along. She got to keep her title. And I think part of the reason that was a couple of things. Andrew is the Queen's favorite son. I think the Queen wanted to keep a good relationship with the little granddaughters. And also, I think the Queen had felt the sting of disapproval when she took Princess Diana's title away. So, I mean, that Duchess title should have gone. But I think part of it is why, she didn't want to anger Andrew or whatever. Or didn't want to make her look mean-spirited or something. Just a thought. But, Sarah's been milking it. She moved back with Andrew. They've been living together in Royal Lodge, a 30-bedroom mansion that sits on 92 private acres inside Windsor Great Park. The place is huge. It takes millions a year in upkeep. I'm not sure what the rent is, but I'm sure it's very low. He had made sure he made a deal with the Queen a decade ago, 12, 13 years ago now, for a 70-year lease on the place at a certain rate, and the only condition was that he was to keep up, the roof, the plaster, the, whatever repairs and upkeep and work needed done. It would to be up to him. And we know the public, there is a public outcry now. And there's been a lot made of it in the press for Andrew and Sarah to leave Royal Lodge, maybe go to Frogmore Cottage. Harry and Meghan's, that's a 5-bedroom place. Their kids are married, they each have a couple homes of their own. They don't need a bedroom at mum and dad's. They do and if they do come onto royal property for events, family events, they always have a place to stay. So it's not like Andrew has to maintain that for his family, There's no excuses. And it is a public outcry because he is, to a degree being taken care of by the crown, and the public doesn't like it, given everything that we know about Andrew, and the more and more is coming out, and there's gonna be more. There's gonna be more. Just what I've said. The local stuff, right? That ever came out, that wouldn't look too good. Because it would unravel the whole Tawdry story and Meghan and Andrew and the yacht stuff and Soho. And can you imagine this nightmare? It's part of the reason that Charles has refused to to act. He knows. He knows. If he opens that can of worms, they're done for. Not necessarily, but he thinks so, because then here's the thing. No matter what happens, to a degree, the monarchy, Charles on back to the Queen, are going to have to shoulder some blame for all of this. Because the palace has been covering up for decades. Covering up Andrew. Covering up Sarah. You know, they've gotten away with, I mean, you know, like I said, pick a scandal. Pick a real estate scandal I could talk about too. 3 off the top of my head. Finances. I mean, we've got Saudi princes and Chinese spies, and, you know, it never ends. And this is just what's kind of come out here and there by accident almost. His whole relationship with Epstein and what that may have included. Now we're going to hear from Virginia Dufresne in her autobiography that's coming out. I'm not sure if it's out right yet, but you know. And take it for what it's worth. But she really hasn't altered her story all along. So yeah, it's looking really bad, and you know, Charles has just, he could have dealt with things, and if he'd have been decisive, that would have secured him in the hearts and minds of his people and secured his reign. But he's a weak king. He doesn't want to act. He's let his church fall to ruin. He doesn't want to act for Andrew. In fact, he welcomed, you know, in the last couple of years, we've seen Sarah at Ascot. Sarah getting her hand kissed here or there. She's invited to things now. And she's still, she still hasn't learned anything. She still behaves as badly in public as she ever did. I mean, all we have to do is look at the late Duchess of Kent's funeral here just a few weeks back. The way that Andrew and Sarah snickering, and it was appalling. They shouldn't have been there in the first place. And they pushed their way right to the front to be in that shot with the king, to be in that shot with William. William wasn't taking it. William isn't really keen on old Uncle Andy. I think he was a little more favorable to Sarah for a while there because the cousins, the girls, they were close for a while. But they've all turned out to be turncoats themselves. William's had enough of all of them. And here we go. What I have been saying all along in my playlist, King Charles III, Life Imitating Art, is that there would be a seminal event where you just knew, you felt the change. The tide was turning against the king, and that he had lost the support of his people. And I claim that we had that event the Tommy Robinson March in London, where millions came out against the establishment, against all of that. I think that was our event, and since then, things have just been spiraling out of control. We've had leaks, we've had all of this from the Mail on Sunday, and you think they're done? Can you imagine what they know? Can you imagine what's to come? I'll be frank with you. For a long time, and I mean not myself, but a long time, Andrew's had a lot of apologists. He's had a lot of people that said, look, he's never been convicted of anything. Nothing can be proven. They say that photo is doctored. He was at a birthday party. It's all lies, it's all lies. Well, maybe you can explain away one relationship with a guy like that. How do you explain Peter Nygaard? He's another PEDO with a private plane and a private island and lots of time to entertain Prince Andrew, Sarah, and the girls. More than once. More than one of those kind of guys that you associate with, and oh, gee, knew him for a couple of decades, would have never guessed that was going on. Can't believe it. Two of them with relationships that lasted years. And we hear the story about Andrew, his sexploits. That's kind of pretty hard to explain away anymore. Just saying. It's a little hard to explain away when two of the most prominent guys you know have the same hobby, you might say. By the way, both faced the same indictments. Jeffrey's gone, but Nygaard is still behind bars. It was so bad, even one of his sons two of his sons testified against him. Can you imagine? And this is a buddy of Andrew's that nobody's really talked about a lot. He was just like Jeffrey. The three amigos. And Sarah was there, and the kids enjoyed time on the islands as well. We are only at the tip of the iceberg about what is going to come out about Andrew. And I mean, the Pellis can do a lot. They have done a lot to try to minimize the effect of information, to try to put the pressure on the press and people to stop stories. Can you imagine? Well, If you're going to print that, you're not going to get access to the Prince and Princess of Wales. Just the way it is, right? So, yeah. They've been known to put pressure of that type. And if he acts at all, that's something I could see Charles doing. Instead of saying, okay, we've got to deal with this, and Andrew, you're done. What Charles might do is put pressure on the press. Say, stop it. Stop it. Can you imagine? What he should be doing is taking Andrew by the ear, saying, look, old boy, you are done. You are out of Royal Lodge by the end of the week. If you're not, we will drag you out. Hand your garter robes back in. You are no longer a member of the Royal Order of the Garter. You are no longer a Counselor of State. You and your children are no longer represented in the line of succession. Your Duke of York, your titles, all of your titles are heretofore given back to the monarchy. Mr. Mountbatten, Windsor, and as far as your ex-wife, no titles, no money, no residence. She will, if you want to keep her, that's up to you. From here now on, there will be nothing forthcoming from the palace, and you may not reside on royal ground. That's what has to happen. They have to be exiled swiftly and quickly, and you know what? Harry and Meghan right behind them, because that's a problem that, just like this one, the longer you let it go, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And what I've been saying all along, we've had our seminal event. It will be William that steps in. It will be William that makes the correction. First point of order is going to be removing his father from position. I think by early in the year, Charles is going to step down. I really think that William is going to exert his position. It's going to be William that has to deal with Andrew. It's going to be William that has to deal with Harry. And they all know it. That is why there is such a rush to try to butter up to the old king while they've got time. And as much as they may think that that might secure some future, what they fail to realize is, yeah, the king can do whatever he wants. As soon as William's in charge, anything King Charles may have set in motion doesn't necessarily have to change the scene. The king's prerogative, they can do whatever they want. They can change a law. They can do whatever they want. So even any agreement perhaps having been reached, say, with Harry and the king, King Charles, William could just say, no, that's done. And they know it. They know it. That's why things are getting a little crazy right now. You can see the desperation in Harry's face. He doesn't know which way to jump. Meghan's just going to change her tune now and pretend to be a fashion designer because nothing else has worked. You know. Soon people will see through her too. It's not going to be too long, but I mean, we're going to have some shaky months. We're going to have some shaky months. This avalanche of information about Andrew and Sarah is just going to keep coming for a while. And it's just going to, you know, the mood is just going to get uglier and uglier. So that is why I think you're really going to see a little bit more of William and a little bit less of the king. Yeah. Yeah, just a few months. I think things are heating up. Stay with me and we'll watch this one play out together. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I want to know what you're thinking. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, everybody.